So I guess I'll go first. I really liked Trick or Treat. It was, in my opinion, probably the best Halloween themed movie I've seen in several years. So the movie starts with this couple that are kind of like coming in after they've been out partying or whatever, and they're really tired, and the one girl is like,
they're lit.
yes, she did say that. The one girl is like, well, I am really tired. Let's take all these decorations down, blah, blah, blah. The boyfriend or husband or whoever is like, well, it's tradition to keep the pumpkin lit. And she's like, I don't care. And she blows out the pumpkin. And shortly thereafter, she dies. Or should I say, she is brutally murdered. And we don't find out really until much later in the movie why she was murdered. After that, it switches over to a kind of what seems like a standard kind of a principal guy. He's just like, seems like a normal, like, kind of authoritative figure. And he's kind of more or less somewhat disciplining a kid that has, like, been knocking over pumpkins and stuff and stealing candy and stuff. And then all of a sudden, this kid starts to just, like, projectile vomit. And it's like this, because he's had so much chocolate, it's kind of hard to tell that there's a little bit of blood mixed in with the chocolate that he's vomiting up.
It's not that hard to
Oh man, it's all over him. Oh my god, just leave the kid out there on the front porch.
We can't.
He totally can.
We can't.
Yes, he can. It's not his kid.
You know you're in there. We
Yeah, you
can see you.
Oh, did he kill him?
Yeah.
You see his shirt? It was red.
You poisoned the candy.
For me, it was. Because I genuinely thought, I was like, that chocolate's a little bit darker than it should be.
It took like way too long to
It
figure
did.
that out.
It did.
Like here.
But, so then, the whole time this is all happening, the principal guy is just very nonchalant about it, and you, like, finally figure out, oh, he did something to his kid, and then it turns out he did. He put, what did he put in there? Cyanide poisoning in the candy. And so it turns out he's like an insane murderer, and he killed this kid at like the very beginning of the movie. And then he's trying to like bury him in the backyard, and then annoying old guy neighbor like catches him in the act, and he's like, hey, knock that shit off her, or whatever, you know, just being cranky for no reason. Then it switches over from that scene to these girls in like a dressing area, basically trying to get on just some different costumes and whatnot. One of them's dressed as Little Red Riding Hood. Epic foreshadowing. So they're trying to like find a party or something to go to, and you think, oh, this is just your typical like drunk teenagers going to a party thing. You know, no big deal, right? So they go and find some random dudes to hit on and like take them over to the party or whatever. And the one girl, they kind of they tease her a little bit. 'Cause it turns out she's a virgin. Ooh. So they kind of bully her a little bit, and they're like trying to pressure her to go and get a hookup of some kind. Eventually, she does.
Her first one.
Yeah, her first one. So
special.
so then it cuts away from that to like these little kids running around like claiming to be on a scavenger hunt, and they're gonna get a bunch of pumpkins, and they're gonna go down to this like abandoned quarry where basically a bus driver killed a bunch of mentally challenged kids on a short bus by like driving off the cliff into the lake and drowning them all. I kind of wish there was a little bit more information about that whole situation there, but I mean, I think it's fine. It's a good scene. So they go down there. They're taking this girl that they don't really explain what she has per se. They call her a savant. She's very clearly. I don't know what's the right term for it.
It's autistic.
Like,
Yeah, she's on the spectrum
yeah.
of some kind. We don't really know what she is, but
She
she's,
was just witchy.
you know,
And usually savants are like,
Yes.
with autism.
Yeah.
So.
but she seems to be, the savant girl seems to be way into Halloween and Halloween lore and traditions and stuff like that. Her house is decorated with like 100 pumpkins. And so they take this girl and she's all excited to go. And it turns out the whole thing was a trick and the kids are just there to bully and make fun of her and scare her.
Girl, they're trying to drown you.
Girl, they're right behind you.
Well, she gets scared, so then she starts to run away, and there's like this elevator, and the elevator has a lock on it, so you can kind of be safe inside. She closes it and locks it, and then it turns out they come out and they say, well, hey, it was just a prank, it was just a prank. Turns out that behind them are the ghosts of the kids that died in the short bus. So they come out and they're coming after the bullies, basically, and like she locks the door to the little cage to the elevator, and they're like banging on it like, let us in, we're really, really sorry. And she just kind of like coldly just looks at them and then just hits the button on the elevator and just casually, nonchalant, no real emotion, no, just very detached, just starts going up the elevator and watches them all die. And then I think this is the moment, I might be wrong, I'm probably wrong on this. I think this was the moment where we finally really realized that the little kid in the jumpsuit and the little bag on his head is there, and he's like part of the supernatural element. Because you see him in a few other scenes. I think he's in every single scene, but you don't know that he is like this supernatural character.
He's in the flashback.
Yes.
Where they do the flashback of the kids on the bus, and he's there. He's not on the bus, but they pass him.
Yes.
on
Yes.
the side of the road.
Yeah, he's basically there. He's present in basically every single scene, but you don't really realize the significance of him until this moment, when you finally realize, oh, he's some kind of a creature or a supernatural being of some kind. He hasn't really done anything yet. Then I think at that point they switch over to the virgin Red Riding Hood girl. She's walking around in the woods, and this guy dressed up as Dracula. Turns out it's the principal guy. He comes out.
Girl, watch out, she's right behind you.
We'd have to keep a running tally of that too.
And apparently they're gonna do it or something, but then he tries to bite her. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just try.
Yeah, he
her.
bites her, and all of a sudden the very next scene is him getting like just manhandled, thrown against a tree, and he's like, "What the hell's fucking what?" You know, he has no clue what the hell's happening, because he thinks it's just some like defenseless girl in the woods. And like, sure, I can just, easy pickings, right? So now you're starting to realize that the little virgin Red Riding Hood is not what she seems. So it turns out she is a werewolf.
Okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of really cool.
And
Badass.
when they said earlier in the movie, she's a virgin, what they meant was she's never been to like a feasting party thing.
That's a lame part.
It's about to get real good, though.
Like basically this is going to be a bloodbath, and they're all werewolves, and they just dragged a bunch of victims out here, basically lured them out here, to eat them. So
I thought she was turning into a werewolf for the first time.
no, this is her first eating.
Her first.
So they end up eating them all, and I'm trying to remember what happens next. I think it was at this point that we finally really get to see the main character, or at least what I consider to be the main character, Sam Hain, the spirit of Halloween, in the little burlap sack and his little red jumpsuit, orange jumpsuit, sorry. And he ends up like going after the old man in the house, the cranky old man in the house next door to the principal. It's not really quite yet explained why he's doing that. Turns out it's because the people are not following the proper traditions of Halloween, and that's his whole thing, is like, you have to obey the traditions of Halloween. You have to have a lit pumpkin, you have to give food, you have to do this, you have to do that, those kinds of things. And it's at that moment when you finally realize that's why he didn't go after the savant girl, because she was carrying the lit pumpkin the whole time, so he left her alone. He's not going after the werewolves because they had lit pumpkins, and technically they were eating food.
Well, they were dressed up. They wore costumes.
Yeah, they wore costumes. So I guess I didn't even realize that was actually a thing that he wanted as well. I didn't know that.
Well, that whole tradition comes from the idea that you're scaring away bad spirits.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So he's chasing the old man around, and they're having a really, really epic struggle. The old man gets stabbed a few times. The old man finally gets a shotgun, shoots Sam Hain in the face, and then blows off one of his arms. And you think, oh, it's over. And then a few scenes later, no, it's not over. His arm can move around all by itself, and it reattaches, and it gets his sack back on his head, and like he's back up, and he's about to go and like land the killing blow on the old man. The old man's scrambling around for anything he can use to fight with or save himself, and he manages to somehow grab on to a random candy bar.
No, it was in his pocket, like on his.
No, it was on like the.
Was it?
Oh no! He grabs onto the side table to get the bottle of alcohol.
Yes.
Oh,
Smashes that, but just as he's about to hit Sam, the candy bar that was also on the side table fell into his
Yeah.
lap.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, he like manages to get this random candy bar. Sam Hain, I guess, believes that this is a offering. So instead of killing him, he takes the offering and starts eating it, and then he leaves. And it's at that moment the guy realizes, oh, I have to follow the traditions of Halloween, or else he's gonna come get me. So the next scene is like annoying kids are knocking on his door, and he's like, oh my god. He has to get up and he has to give out candy.
Oh, was that him again? Oh my god!
He learned his lesson.
And I think he had a few pumpkins out there now at this point, and he's like, yeah, whatever, and the kids go away. Well, then somebody else knocks on the door again, and he comes out there, and it's the ghosts of the mentally challenged kids that he drowned, saying trick or treat.
Oh god.
Trick or treat.
Wrong way. Wrong way.
He's the bus
Yes.
Y'all missed that because you were talking. That's what he was
What?
burning. He was burning the photos of him with the kids.
That's the end. And I thought it was like really like the whole thing just ties together. Every single scene, there's like you don't really see it right away, but there's something going on in each scene that ties it into the next scene.
See, this scene like.
And
connects-
those were the werewolves.
Yes. This scene,
Okay.
yes, this scene connects. everything.
Jeez.
Yo, sorry. You're trying to keep up here.
Shots fired.
Early on in the scene where the savant girl's going with the bullies, before she realizes it's a trick, she hears the werewolf screaming. Well, that's when they switch over to the werewolves actually eating them. All this stuff is happening simultaneously, so you don't know that until like later on in the movie that all of this is all connected. So yeah, that's basically Trick or Treat. Anybody else got anything to add?